up? Welcome to episode 4, JUCO Hoops Insider with my man BG. Got an awesome lineup for you today. I have a Division I assistant. Currently, we have a 4 JUCO assistant panel, and we also have a former JUCO player who's now an NBA agent. So it's going to be a power pack lineup today. We'll start with doing 2 of our 4 from our assistant coach panel. We have Justin Tabor from Southeast Iowa and Lester Stewart from Casper College, who's also a part of Project Rise with BG. So, BG, you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's bring those guys in the studio. I'm remote right now, but I'll be in the studio here in just a second, and we'll get this thing rolling. So let's enter those guys in the studio and just have them talk about JUCO life, what it's like to be an assistant, JUCO appreciation, show JUCO a little bit of love.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm still in the middle of the COVID basement time.
I understand, man.
Yeah. Let's start off with a little COVID talk here. We're shooting for end of January for JUCO to get started, and I imagine, but both of your guys, all your kids are gone now, right? They've gone home or about to go home and stuff for break.
Yeah,
and
our guys are getting ready to go home.
Same.
So this fall period here, Les, we'll start with you. Obviously it's been different. You can't say like, well, how has it been different? We can talk for 4 hours about how it's been different. But what are some of the things that I guess maybe have come up or that you didn't know you were going to have to kind of deal with, that you've never dealt with in your career and all the different places that you've been and stuff, in helping these kids not only physically but mentally, emotionally, all that sort of stuff in such a crazy time like this?
I would have to say just the constant change, them coming in wondering if, are we going to practice today? Do we have enough bodies today? Do we have to quarantine? How many tests do we have to take? Just the constant questions that we have to answer. And sometimes, and some days didn't have an answer for them, which is tough. Also, a big thing that I would say I would take away from this is like you get to kind of see where your guys are mentally, through a tough time. And so that I know for our staff has been something that we've constantly been just kind of promoting, trying to get guys to understand that, we're praying that this is short term. Anything we're going through is short term, and, it's for the greater good. So, we can eventually help these guys get on the floor and, continue to live out their dream.
For sure. Coach Tabor, what, there has to be, I'm sure it's infuriating when you're not able to get on the court when you want to. When you do, sometimes it's, you get 1-on-1 or you get 5-on-0, no contact. You get all this kind of stuff. Like, how did you guys kind of dive into some different development things with some of these guys where it's like, okay, I can't run fives, and we can't install our offense, so I need to work on maybe the mental makeup or game IQ, stuff like that. Like, how did you get creative with getting things done?
I would say more of on the standpoint of more positional stuff. Me with being with the guards, focusing more on fundamental things. One thing that we really needed to kind of work on was the fundamentals and footwork. We weren't too creative. I think we were doing things that everybody is going through or has done with their team. But fundamental stuff, footwork, shot fake, one dribbles, penetrating kick, closing out on the defensive, on offensive guy with hands up, chopping the feet, things like that. And then kind of expanding and going 1-on-1, 2-on-2. Like Bless said, it was tough in regards to, not having enough bodies at times. So we tried to, make it, competitive as much as we could, making, 3-on-3 games with, 2 minutes on the board, or, 2-on-2 with a shot clock and, shot clock down to 10 seconds, and you got to make quick moves with limited dribbles. I would say those are some of the creative things that we did a little bit, but also it's stuff that, some people around the country have already been doing.
Right. So the first guy that doesn't get his hand up when he closes out, next year.
Oh, they're getting cheered up.
We spent 3 months doing nothing but closeout drills.
Oh, no question. They may hear that horn or getting, chewed out from the sideline. It's going to happen. We can work on it as much as we.
Hey, Justin, especially with your boss.
Oh, you know it.
I know him.
You know it.
So kind of going forward here, when guys get back and we get to some sense of normalcy, I'm sure there are probably things that you have taken away from this time that are going to benefit you as a coach, going forward in whichever direction you go with it, because junior college is the kind of place that we always talk about having to be creative in a million different ways. How do you pay for things? How do you get all these different things accomplished? And now you're doing it in the middle of a, once in a century pandemic. What's kind of some stuff that maybe you've learned a little bit about yourself and how you as a coach do things and things like that you really want to kind of take with you going forward?
Something that I learned, Brandon, is that the time that I spent coaching high school basketball and working with youth, and a lot of the things that we did off the court, is probably some things that I learned that, probably doing more of, like, teaching guys those soft skills, because, when you can't physically get to, a class, or, class is canceled, or Zoom, just things that get them really organized, and trying to, help them network with not only the professors, but other people in their class, to start reaching out. So probably just more so, taking this and just continue to try to develop their soft skills, not only for, for school, but when they go off into the workforce, and just, always be ready. Always have a plan B, C, and D, sometimes E.
Coach Tabor, what's some stuff that maybe you've kind of developed in your toolkit or added to it during this time that because typically in the fall you finally get all your guys together, and then it's go, and it's like, oh crap, jamborees, and we're playing games already with nobody even knows where the foul line is. And like now you've kind of had time almost in a little bit of way to, even though there's chaos going on around you, you don't have anything else to do but sit there and kind of think about how you go about things, how you handle internal issues with players and all that kind of stuff. Like, what's some stuff that maybe you've kind of developed and added to here during this time?
I would say, having more one-on-ones with players. Fortunately with me, I live in the dorms with the guys, so I'm also an RA, and I get to see them every day. I would say that I picked up on the point of, stressing to them, being proactive with what they're doing. What's the next day? What do you have planned the next day? Would that be academics? Would that be rehab or treatment? Would that have to be, enrollment stuff? Just kind of sitting down with them more one-on-one, without the basketball related stuff, and having them kind of take pride in being proactive and being organized. Because I know a lot of them, this is the first time they've ever had to, for some of them have been the first time they ever had to kind of have somebody, be on them about being organized. And days, like, Coach Lester was saying, having plan A, plan B, plan C, not just waking up and realizing, oh, I'm just going to practice. No, what other business are you handling? And that's what I've kind of stressed on some of our guys, most of our guys, on just kind of being proactive and planning out your day, and sitting with them one-on-one, and also just asking them how they feel. Where's your head at? How do you feel? And got some good conversation. Had some guys that at first were struggling with opening up, now that are feeling comfortable to share with how they feel, especially with COVID, with the season coming up. So I would say that, those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the mental health side of stuff with this whole
Absolutely.
thing is
that's
all
a
of us.
big thing right now, no question, man. I mean, to be isolated so much, your mind tends to wander and just like ask so many questions. Now you're playing mind games with yourself. You start questioning things. So it's really important that these guys, have someone they can go to and talk to mentally and just kind of get some things off their chest, even school related stuff or stuff at home. We all know if you hold stuff in for too long, things kind of boil over and it can affect other things from the court to the classroom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's tough too as a coach where you're expected to be the sounding wall for all of it. And we're all dealing with our own mental health, during this time where we're just kind of getting tired of staring at the same four walls. So
you see what I got? I got the right now.
Yeah, everybody sees me come on these shows and they see this going on. No, this is it. This is all I'm seeing or whatever. I tweeted something out yesterday. I realized I hadn't left the house in 2 weeks.
I saw that tweet.
I'm like, I should at least go to the grocery store, I guess, or something. I don't know, get out of here. But hey, appreciate you guys coming on here this morning. And I think you guys do a great job and just keep pounding away.
Appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you.
We'll bring you guys back in just a little bit. We're going to switch to the OG assistant coach panel. So we'll get those guys on. Yeah, welcome to OG. We got Paul Greene, College. We also have Eric Colbert. Welcome, fellas.
What's happening, brothers? How you guys doing today?
How's everyone doing? Glad to be a part of this panel.
I think Coach Burton just called you old. He did that last week to
yeah, he did that with Coach Stewart.
Yeah,
it's the vets, man. It's the vets. You gotta give the respect, man.
Say vets.
Hey, B, man, how old are you, B?
How old am I? I'm 38.
Burton?
Oh, Burton.
I think we're the same age. I think we're all the same age.
I think we're all the same.
Watch that OG talk, man. We came in together, man. It was around the same time. You getting old too.
Well, you're a JUCO OG, are you not?
At this point, I will consider myself a little older than the norm around here.
There you go. I'm gonna step out of the studio and let you guys hang out with BG for a second, and I'll be in there when you guys come back the second round.
Yes, sir.
The OGs. Oh my gosh. What's up, guys?
What's going on, Brandon?
Just sitting here looking at walls as well. I see. It's amazing.
Hey, man, I love your man cave, especially that NBA jam back there. So, hey, I love to switch places with you. That's a nice man cave, man.
I literally just sit here all day on my computer doing stuff, and then I spin around and play NBA jam. Actually, what's funny is now playing that and talking to coaches that are in the game. Like my daughter insists on being Damon Stoudemire every time.
Wow.
So, that's pretty funny. But
yes, it is.
Well, guys, here we are. COVID times. Like as if coaching junior college wasn't complicated enough. Let's just make it extra complicated. So let's kind of dive in a little bit. Kind of, we talked to the other guys there. If you were able to hear, just some things that as none of us knew what to expect coming into this fall. Any of us that have been in any sort of business for a long time have our process. And then somebody came in and said, yeah, screw your process. You get no process. And you're going to just make all this up on the fly as you go. What's, I guess, what are some things? We'll start with you, Coach Colbert, on this fall here, as you've had to just change things and address how you do business and how you work with your guys and just, address some of those issues that are now coming up where kids are saying, like, I'm not playing, school's online, school's whatever. Like, how have you kind of had to adjust what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think basketball-wise, Brandon, we did more individual stuff. Went away from not saying went away from the team concept, but spent a lot of more time working on individual things, offensively, defensively, and then bigger on their bodies. Had a lot more time to be in the weight room, take that time to try to, get physically stronger, because a lot of kids come out of high school not physically ready nowadays. So, I think that was a big benefit. But, bigger than that, man, I think it was a chance for us to all build relationships. We had a lot more time to spend time together, one-on-one, getting to know the kids. It's crazy. I learned some things about kids that, you know, in the regular time, we wouldn't have time to spend that time doing that. You know, so I was able to help a little more. And I thought that was the biggest thing, well, the biggest plus out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can't do all this other stuff, you're almost kind of just forced to to really build these extra bonds that you just, yeah, like you said, in the time before you didn't have time. You know, it's junior college is not like, you know, sometimes when you get to the 4-year level and you get on campus in June and you got all this, you know, building stuff, whatever, like JUCO is kind of this constant moving machine. So probably I would imagine in a lot of ways, both for the kids and the coaches, the ones that appreciate that time, you know, probably took a lot away from it, you know. And then, as we know, there'll be some kids that are like, I don't care, I just want to hoop. And, you know, you probably learn a lot about who those guys are too, though. In a different way.
You learn a lot about your team, man, who you can depend on, because who stayed with you the entire time, who's willing to go through that, you know what I mean? And just like you learn things about your kids when you sit there with them one-on-one, man, things that you didn't know because they've been in school the whole time. Like I'm sure you have. Like I sat there and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, man. Like I had a kid that I didn't even know was into music, who turns out to be like, I mean, that's like his plan B, C, and D. Like he's actually great at it, you know. But for us to sit down and talk about that every day, for him to be able to come and, coach, listen to this, what you think of this, and to bounce other things off the wall that weren't basketball related was big time, man. I really actually enjoyed that.
Right. Coach Greene, what's some stuff that you've kind of taken away from this time like that?
For us, I think our model we have is find a way and get the job done. We're in some unprecedented times where, you know, the unknown. So I think that's something we have to not take each day for granted. And I think that's what we try to teach our young men, that life is so precious. And it's not just about basketball. It's about your overall health, your well-being, making sure that you're good, making sure your family's good. And I think that's what we really kind of stressed for our student athletes to make sure and know that you're always prepared for whatever's thrown at you, because let's understand that this is bigger than what we have all anticipated. I mean, lives are being lost. Families have experienced death. So this is very serious. So we just tell them to just be grateful, to always find a way to get the job done. Life's not going to be fair, but that doesn't mean that you have to take whatever's life thrown at you. You just, hey, dust yourself off and continue to fight, have that fighter's mentality.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because, you know, you try and find, like, how can I find a silver lining in all of this? And it feels even weird to do that. You know, I was thinking about this the other day where it's like, there are things that I've gotten better at. There's things that I have figured out that I need to change because of this. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you have to address every day with that mindset of learning and adapting and being open and willing to change. And then how you convey that to your kids too, right? Where you say, you know, guys, like, recruitment is going to be weird. School is going to be weird. Like, it's weird for everybody. I have to go to the grocery store and I have to constantly have my head on a swivel to make sure I'm not within 6 feet of somebody so they don't freak out and hit me with a, you know, bag of chips or something. So it's like, you know, you're just in this constant stress mode, you know. But I think, yeah, there's a lot to be taken away from this time for sure.
Yes.
You know, since B wanted to throw out the OG and
OG assistant.
He wanted to age some things a little bit. I did want to ask you guys, just, you know, this is not COVID related. This is more just junior college related. From, you know, the time that you guys have seen this, you know, junior college transition from what it was when you got into the business to what it is now. What are kind of some things that you've seen, good and bad, in the way that junior college and the athletes that participate in it have changed over time?
Great question.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I can say I've been in it for a while. I've seen the changes over the years, good and bad. You know what? I think with the change in positive direction is a lot of technology. In the past, where you really couldn't get to see a lot of student athletes, but now with Twitter, Instagram, you can recruit basically overseas throughout the world by just from, your computers at work. So that, I think that's one positive where you really don't have to go out and physically see a lot of kids. But we try to do it, especially our coaching staff, my boss and I. We travel as much as we can to go see a lot of our student athletes, potential student athletes. Another thing I can say is you start to see on a negative aspect, some of these student athletes or potential student athletes have a bad stigma of what junior college is.
Right.
They don't understand how tough and how well overall being you have to be and how dedicated you have to be if you want to be successful in junior college and then move on to the next level. So I think that's the stigma in the past, whereas, growing up, getting into the business, if you offer someone a scholarship, hey, coach, I'm willing to work. I'm willing to get to the next level. With today's student athletes is you got to do a whole horse and pony show. Get them to understand, hey, man, we're giving you opportunity. Plan A might not work, but plan B is a direction that can help you get to your plan A. So I think it's kind of like a tilted scale, give and take, or what do you want to do?
The other side of the technology.
The other side, exactly.
Yeah, I can watch a player in Serbia play live, but I'm also going to get this guy over here that's hitting the socials with the blessed to receives.
And that's what everyone wants to do. But I've gotten a scholarship from this one and from Timbuktu University. So it's like, hey, man, you still got to come in and earn and work for whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. Coach Colbert, what are your thoughts on that?
Back in coach, I think accessibility has been the biggest change. Been real big for the sport, being able to, see so many different kids on so many different levels. I was tripping off the fact that the other day I was able to watch a kid in California who I recruited tough, and he was at a couple different events doing really well, man. I'm watching him like I'm right there. So, I think that's the biggest improvement. The thing that's changed the most that's kind of hurt me is the fact that I'm not involved with as many families. Where when I first started, I thought it was really a family atmosphere. Kids were coming to you and with their entire families. I remember we're sitting in and talking to entire families, and now, it's kind of like it's shifted away from that. It's more of a recruiting an individual kid and trying to figure out who's the best in the circle to help you and to assist you. So it's kind of going away from that family atmosphere. Me and Coach Stewart were talking about the fact that we had so many great families in the beginning, and that's kind of something that I'm weary of now because I think we've gone away from that some.
Interesting. Yeah. Is it something? Do you think when you're doing the recruiting, if you find somebody that maybe you do have a better relationship with the family? Or whoever that kid's family is, whether it be a parent or somebody that they're just really close with, that's a really strong positive influence or whatever, does that kind of tend to push you towards recruiting that kid a little bit more as opposed to some of the individual stuff? It's such a complicated world now because with the technology, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? Good and bad. Things can go sideways like that in a second. So it's kind of, that rare, really strong bond with everybody around the kid. Does that kind of tend to lead you more towards that player?
Well, I think it does. I think the more when you find a kid that's he has more of the structure around him, not just saying just the coaches, but the coaches and the parents and people in his circle that really want to see him do well, I think you can always lean back on that. And early in my recruiting, that was a big thing for me because I always wanted to find people with strong family structures. Yep. So that when it does get tough, and I used to always tell him, man, you're not going to like Coach Estelle every day. You're not going to like Coach Colbert every day. But as long as I can reach back and I have somebody that has my back and understands that everything we're doing is for the benefit of your son, to make him a better person, a better basketball player, a better student. And that's what I'm finding it's hard now. I'm having kids and I'm calling parents and they kind of hey, man, talk to him. And I'm like, hold up, man. I see somebody else. I need help. He's not listening to me right now. But it's still fun. I love JUCO. I tell everybody, I've been blessed to be able to coach at Division I level for a few years, and now JUCO for almost 12 years. And I like the impact that I'm able to have, and we are able to have as coaches on this level because it's deeper than basketball.
Yeah,
we're changing young men to grown men, really. In a 2-year span, we're doing it real quick. So we give them a lot.
No doubt. We're going to bring you guys back in a little bit for the interview segment. Great job. Of course, so excited to have you guys here. And then BG, we'll let you get a quick timeout, man. Go get some refreshments. We got your man EJ Kusnyer coming on in a little bit, so we'll get to talk some NBA life. So we'll be back with BG, and we're going to do a quick interview segment. So we're going to have some scenarios that basically these coaches are going to be interviewing for X position, whether that's a head coaching position or an assistant coaching position at the next level. We're just going to kind of do some mock interviews. So we'll start with our young guns. If I can get them back in the studio. What up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, V?
We ready for this part?
Yes, sir.
So we're going with South State College. All right, South State College. So we're going to say you're either interviewing for a Division I assistant position or a head coach position. So your answers can be fit for either one. Okay. So question one, we'll go to Coach Stewart first, and then we'll go Coach Tabor right after. What about your experience and accomplishments lends you to being ready for this next move up?
I feel that I'm ready because, each place that I've been, I've contributed to winning. I've added value each place I've been, whether that was on and off the court, player development, recruiting, the relationships I've built across the country, as well as far as my relentless approach to succeed myself and help others around me succeed. My whole goal is to accomplish is to help those around me better their life. If it's my head coach, I want to help build his house. I want him to be able to take care of his children's children. People that I'm on the staff with, I want them to be able to get better jobs and their careers flourish. I want my players to get degrees. I want them to become pros. That my relentless approach just to help others succeed is why I'm ready for this position, so I can be able to help not only this staff, but this campus, this institution. I want to be a great campus partner. I want to be able to, build relationships on campus with admissions, the registrar, different departments where, that I can be able to, they can use me in the athletic department just so we can just make this institution a lot better. And so that's why I feel I'm ready for this next step.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Stewart. Coach Tabor, we'll ask you the same question. What about your experience and accomplishments lends you to being ready for this next move up?
I would say my wherever I've gone, the last 9 years, I've been a part. Last 9 programs I've been a part. Last 9 teams I've been a part of, we've won. I feel I bring a winning attitude, the strong work ethic, and willing to do anything and everything to help a winning program, any program. My ability to cultivate relationships from staff, players, boosters, maintenance, administration. I feel that is a big piece into being a big piece into being a good assistant at the next level. And also my ability to, my experience with film, breaking down and taking pride in scouting and being very detailed from that standpoint. I have a very strong, enthusiastic energy, which I feel is a very big piece at the next level or any level. And it's something you really can't teach. It just has to come within. And I think that's kind of the deciding factor I feel that I bring. And I'm ready to be one of the next assistant here at South State College. I think that's what you called it.
No, that was awesome. We'll do the same kind of scenario. We'll just say this can be for head coach or assistant coach. Again, up to you how you want to answer it. But the second question would be, why are you specifically a fit for this position? Talk a little bit about who you are and what makes you the fit for this position. I know you told us about your experience. We appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about you specifically, why you're the fit to help this program take the next step. We'll go Coach Stewart first.
Oh, you muted.
Coach, you're on mute. I'm sorry. That might be my fault.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
You're good, Coach.
I feel thank you. I feel that I'm the level that I've been at, this junior college level. I have been, I've been very fortunate to build a lot of relationships when it comes to recruiting. I've been able to recruit some pretty good players over time. I have an eye for talent and evaluating, and I know what translates to this level, as well as being a player developer, and not just a player developer on the court, but off the court. I'm able to, get guys to understand the importance of networking, the importance of adapting to their surroundings. A lot of guys, they come from big cities and, they come to a small town where they're here to go to school and play basketball. And, they're just not used to it. So, being someone that went to junior college and in a small town, being from Chicago originally and having to, be in Tumwa, Iowa for 2 years, I've been able to help guys adapt to their situation, being in small towns such as Twins Falls, such as Casper, Wyoming. And so, I'm able to help them, get get through the 2 years that they're here where they can be successful and move on. Also, just helping them become winners in life. We always talk about, wins and losses and, getting the W on the court, but, we want these guys to be winners in life. And I feel, that I've helped, numerous young men become winners in life, and, they're winning, and they know how to take a tough day and turn it into a win, as well as just the importance of academics in their life, because the term is student athlete, and, we want them to be students first and get degrees, and, that's the payoff. And so been able to do that, as well as my experience as a former head coach. I know what head coaches go through, sometimes the pressure and having to deal with so many things. So, if I was, I'm here as your assistant, I would know how to, put out those fires, make those relationships, get things done so it doesn't get to the head coach's desk, has enough to worry about, as far as boosters and winning games and, just making sure that, we stay relevant as one of the top programs in the country. My job is to continue to do all those little things to just keep making, my head coach look good. And just, I'm also able to lead on the floor in practice, being a high school coach for 6 years, a head high school coach for 6 years, had to, run my own practices. I'm able to implement systems offensively and defensively. I'm able to lead drills. I'm just very well-rounded guy, well-rounded coach, I should say. And I'm able to, just be a chameleon in so many, in some sorts, and just be able to help the best way I can.
Awesome, Coach. Appreciate that answer. Appreciate those details and sharing. Coach Tabor, we would ask the same question to you.
What I bring specifically, I feel is, like I mentioned before, cultivating relationships, and also helping players develop as as an individual, being able to better themselves and be the best versions of themselves on and off the court. I feel over the years that I've had players that I still talk to this day, and it's a great feeling to know and had this experience happen where they're reaching out to me about non-basketball stuff. For example, players asking me, Coach, how do you save your money? How do you go about doing so? And I feel that's a big part into developing them and getting them ready for the real world. Being young, you want to spend money as much. So helping them kind of, take the time to really save their money, and also help them to kind of, take leadership and communicate at a high level from the time from junior college on to life, because everything that we're doing on the court, it results back on in the real world. You're going to have a job where you got to respond back to someone that's higher than you. You're going to have to communicate with people from all walks of life. And I feel my ability to do those things with athletes student athletes, I feel is a big piece into why I feel I'm a good piece in this program. Also, like I mentioned before, just having the ability to be on the court with guys and to be able to handle aspects of offensively and defensive things, my eye for talent, and to be able to take everything off the coach's plate, man, and just to have the head coach just worry about winning games. I feel that's a big piece in being an assistant, and I've done it at the D1 level. And so I want to be able to show that I can continue to do this and just be given an opportunity to show that I can.
Awesome. Thanks so much, fellas. Justin, I know you've been at the Division I level, New Mexico State, and you've won as a GA, and I know Les, you've won everywhere you've been. You've been a head coach as well. Thanks so much. I'll let you guys have 30 seconds to just say any closing thoughts, and appreciate you guys being on today, man. You can relax now. That part's over with. Great job, man. And just say whatever you want to say before you leave. I'll let Les go first.
Just want to say thank you, Brian. It's some people that, I don't know if I want to just thank, not much more of a shout out. I just want to thank my first ever college boss, Jared Fay, for giving me the opportunity. And then I want to thank my current boss, Sean Gutting. He's an amazing person, great guy to work for. I love him. And also, we got an assistant, Dante Bryant, that's constantly pushing me every day. And, I'm grateful to be here at Casper College. And I just hope everybody has a great rest of 2020. And, 2021 will be prosperous for all of us.
I just want to give a big thanks to first guys, Marvin Mintz. He's given me an opportunity to get my foot in the door. Sadly, I wasn't the guy that played college ball, but I knew realistically I can get into coaching, and that's what I wanted to do. And my uncle made a phone call to him, and he gave me an opportunity to be a manager at New Mexico State for 5 years and a GA for 1 year before he left for UNLV. Big shout out to Paul Weir for giving me an opportunity to work alongside him. And then, Chris Jans, having an opportunity to work alongside him for a month or so, and him making a phone call to Jay Herkelman, Hall of Fame coach at Coffeyville, having an opportunity to work alongside him and Kyle Fisher, two great guys in this business that I had a real great experience with at Coffeyville that really opened my eyes on the JUCO realm. And Maurice Leisky at Eastern Arizona last year. And I'm really blessed to have Lorenzo Watkins and Trent Wolf here, kind of open me, made me feel welcome and have me be a part of this program at Southeastern. So all the guys I named, even assistants I didn't name from the D1 realm, they all played a big part in who I am today.
Awesome. Well, look forward to following your success. Justin, thanks so much for coming on, man. Great job today.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me.
All right, later. Now we'll have Jamal Greene and Colbert come on real quick.
The GOATs.
Yeah. We won't tell the story. I know we got some stories. We recruited against each other back in the day. We used to coach against each other. We got some good battles. We'll save that for another day. And then Coach Greene, same coaching tree, the Midland Ross Hodge coaching tree, Grant McCaslin coaching tree. So pleasure to have you guys here. Coach Colbert, we'll talk about you first. You've won over 100 games as an assistant. You have won championships, I believe 4, if I'm not mistaken, at Navarro with Johnny Estelle. Today, here you are interviewing for a junior college head coaching position. What makes you, based on your experience and things that you've done and things you've accomplished, players you've helped move on, what makes you ready to lead a junior college program?
Well, I think the main reason is the foundation has been laid. I've been blessed as an assistant coach to work under some great head coaches, beginning with Johnny Estelle and now here at Holmes Community College with Jason Flanagan. We've been able to win at a high level, but not just on the basketball floor. I'm more impressed with the fact that we've been able to get a 90% graduation rate, which in JUCO is really hard to do. Our kids have been successful on and off the floor. And you took one away from me, B. I got 5 of them, and I actually got a regular season one at Pratt. But just it's time. I've spent my time trying to help build a foundation, and I think the foundation has been built. The fact that we won so much, we've had kids graduate. You know, our kids have been upstanding citizens. The ability to go out and recruit anywhere in America, being able to go back home to California and snatch a couple kids, and to be able to fight with guys like you for kids out in the Midwest and Texas and coming down south to Mississippi and Louisiana. I've been able to build relationships with coaches, with programs, and with people like yourselves that have been able to help me and will continue to help me in the future. So I believe that becoming a head coach and running a solid program is based on that, building relationships, having a foundation and winning on and off the basketball floor, and being able to continue the tradition or building traditions where there weren't any before.
Awesome. Great answer. Coach Greene, very similarly, you've won a lot of championships in your time. You worked under some of the best. What about your experience makes you ready to be a head coach and lead a program?
Well, Brian, I appreciate you having me on this morning. I've been blessed, and I think the time is now, and I'm ready. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work under some great, unbelievable head coaches. My first 2 years, I started under Grant McCaslin and Ross Hodge, and I'm blessed and fortunate enough now to work under Coach Kevin Gill, who was, I call him the legend. I've won a lot of games and helped our coaches won a lot of games. I think over the past 14 years since I've been doing this, I've helped these coaches amassed over 350 wins with about 73 losses, which is about 83% winning percentage. Throughout those years, I've helped those coaches win conference championships, appeared in a national championship game, also had a national runner-up finish, as well as a Sweet 16 appearance. But for most importantly for me, the pride and joy that I have is since I've been at McLennan, we have had a 98% graduation rate, meaning that our student athletes who have been with us for 2 years, they will graduate and they will get a degree and move on to a four-year university or institution. To me, I think that's important because when we go into the homes of these young men, we talk to their families and they entrust us that we help these young men become men and are better than what they were when they first started off with us. So I think that's important to laying the foundation of knowing that they will be a student athlete and that they will have the tools to be successful when they leave our program.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Coach Greene. Well said. We'll close with kind of a 2-minute round. Just talk a little bit about yourself and why you are fit, why you're the best person for this job at South State College, junior college, to be the head coach. We'll go Coach Colbert first. Coach, you're still on mute. Sorry. There you go.
Okay. Being the best choice for South State. I think that South State needs someone who is dedicated, a leader, and a winner. When you look back at careers and resumes, it's hard to see those things. You know, you're looking at numbers and you're basing everything off numbers and have they had wins and do they have championships? And I think more importantly than that is going back and talking to the people and the lives they affected. You know, getting to know or tapping into the young men who have played for them, who continue to have relationships with them today, who still are building on those relationships today. And you look at the coaches that they've coached with, and you go back and you see that all the interactions were positive and were based on them, like the team aspect rather than themselves. You know what I mean? I've never been a self-promoter. It's very hard for me to do such a thing. I'm more based on family. I believe that if the family wins, we all win. And so far in my career, that's been a big thing. Like, we've been able to win because of the family. It's not because of the individuals. We haven't had a lot of top 9 players. We haven't had a lot of All-Americans. We've been blessed with a few, but not a bunch. But what we did have and what we've all had is a family atmosphere where guys were coming in and working every day to be the best player they could be, the best student they could be, and the best young men that they could possibly be for their families. And now to see a transition, and I'm at a stage now in year 12 where I can see kids who now have families who are able to use those things that we were giving them, the tools that we were giving them, and they're applying it to their families. and I'm talking to them about things that they're going through after they've graduated from school, and they've turned into young men who have kids and who have wives, and how they treat their wives and their kids, and going back to things that we taught them. I think those are the reasons why I'd be a great fit, because learning from some of the guys that I've learned from and being in the programs I've been in, I take those things with me. Those things never leave. No matter where I go, I still have that foundation and that base, and that's my reason.
Absolutely. Well said, Coach, and definitely have proven you're a winner time and time again. Coach Greene, same question for you. Head coach, South State College, junior college. What makes you the best fit for the position?
I think the next head coach at South State College needs to be a leader of men. And I think over the years I've accomplished that in leading young men to be the best that they can be. I think you also need someone who can be a leader in the community as well. I think it's important that you that the next hire of your head coach needs to be someone who can bridge the gap between not just your student athletes, but faculty and administration, to make sure that we're all on one accord and we know that we're all on the same team, knowing that we're trying to help these young men. I think winning is important. I think you need to have someone who's in place who understands the landscape of winning, knowing how important it is to win championships, how important it is to recruit the right student athletes to come into your program and to lead the program to where it needs to be. Also, implementing a week here atmosphere that involves just to be a part of the community, leaders that they can come in. Our student athletes can also go in the community and be a face to know that our program will stand tall, that we'll not only just win on the basketball floor, but we'll also win in the community.
Awesome. Great job, fellas. Again, you can lay your head down now. We're done with that portion. You guys both get the job, so congratulations.
Hey, we always talk about working together, so we got it, Jay.
There it is, Pete.
We got South State College and Indoor State College. We got both. How about that? So yeah, just quick 1 minute before you guys run. Thanks so much for coming on today, man. I'll let you guys say anything you want to say just before you take off.
Well, D, thanks a lot for having us, man. First off, it's a blessing to be here today, man. You know, we've been competing against each other for a long time.
No doubt.
To be on here with my brother Jamal, man, that means a lot, because that's my brother, man. Salute. You know, giving thanks to the coaches that have given me an opportunity. Starting off with Doc Sadler at the University of Nebraska. My brother, Coach Johnny Estelle, who is my guy forever, man, and my mentor, Coach Gill, you know, who's always a listening ear, man, and gives me great information since the start. The guy that gave me the opportunity now, Coach Flanagan, being able to come down here and come to another program with great tradition. It's been a blessing, man, the whole ride. Every coach that I've coached with, man, from Independence on, man, it's been a great ride, but bigger than that is building a relationship with guys like yourselves, man. I remember first meeting you, you know, in the Paris days, and us going back and forth and not really, you know, knowing who you were. And then we went on that trip to Houston, and we became brothers on that trip to Houston, man. Things changed. You know, now I didn't look at you as the enemy. I looked at you as a brother, man. Because when I first came in, I was trying to win games. I wasn't concerned with anybody around. You know what I mean? And I would like to throw out one last thing. I've been a head coach 3 games now, y'all. I'm undefeated, and I beat Trinity Valley when they was #1 in the nation. Give me a job.
Let's go. Appreciate it, man. Great having you, man. Look forward to follow this season. You're always a family, so whatever we can do.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you, man.
Okay, man.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm blessed. As I said, that's a brother to me. I mean, we've been doing it for years, and he's a family. He can come to my home, and my family knows, and likewise with you, we've been doing this. But I've been blessed. I can't give, you know, harp on that much. I've been blessed. God has blessed me. Started off, Coach Grant McCaslin and Roz Hodge gave me an opportunity to start and taught me a lot. And then from there, Coach Kevin Gill, man, he has been tremendous in my growth. It's not just a basketball coach, but as a man, seeing how well he's become, how he acts as a father and a husband. And I think he's instilled those lessons upon me. Another one of my mentors, Coach Johnny Estelle, he's like a big uncle. And my athletic director, Coach Sean Trokum, she's a big influence on my life. So I have to really thank those guys for really entrusting me believing in me each and every day and give me those wisdoms to not just be a better coach, but to be a better human being. And I think that's what we all have to take out of this. Then also want to, make sure everyone's staying safe out there. These are some tough times, man, especially with the COVID-19 going on. So we want to send prayers to everyone's family, make sure everyone's staying safe, and just want to make sure y'all have a blessed and happy holidays, man, to you and your family, Brian.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Great job today, JG, man. Always the most respect. We're part of the same family, same.
Yes, sir.
Tell
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Hill I said hello, man, and the wife and kids, and enjoy your holidays, man.
Man, appreciate it. Hey, and congrats on the new addition, man. Girl, dad, stand tall.
Thank you, man. Girl, dad, stand up. All right,
Yes, sir.
man. All right, we're done with the assistant coach panel. We're going to do a quick commercial break. We'll bring BG back in the studio, and then we'll have our next guest. Get straight to it. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you for joining us for the All Access Coaches Corner podcast. We are so excited to continue serving coaches, sharing their stories, and spotlighting their programs. Stay connected as we bring you more special guests and more real conversations covering all aspects of the game. You can find our show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at allaccess_CC. Subscribe to the All Access Network YouTube channel and join us in the All Access Coaches Corner.
BG, we're back at it. I'll let you introduce the next guest. So I do have a former player that's coming on. He is a one of the elite agents, up and coming, rising star. He's been recognized by publications here and there and everywhere else. But I'll let BG introduce him, and then I'm sure he'll have some funny stories, and I'll have to tell more about him. But I'll let BG.
All right, we got. Where is he? Is he on here?
Yeah, he's on here.
Coming on.
Yeah, he's ready.
EJ Kusnyer of Beyond Athlete Management, coming in the house now. Former Collin County, former Mercer, former his own agent, which is a great story, and and now agent extraordinaire of all things globally and NBA and whatnot. So where's he at? Come on, EJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, EJ Kusnyer.
Man.
There he is.
Rock as always.
Collin basketball.
Collin basketball.
Representing. So you got to say some opening words, man. What is Collin basketball? Nobody even knows what that is.
Man.
I think Jay Billis may have said something the other day. You might have to get on him about that.
He did. I mean, that hurt. I mean, during the West Virginia Gonzaga game, he said he had heard of a lot of junior colleges, but he had never heard of Collin College.
What?
What? Like, Jay, come on, man.
You sleep, man. What you doing?
Sleeping, I could just, the Godfather, Jimmy Sagona. I think, honestly, it might be one of those things. If you look at Jay, he may have said that it might be a slight because he's jealous of, Coach Sagona's hair.
It's true. That is a possibility.
So tell us about your JUCO days real quick. You went prep school. You went to Centenary Division I when it was still Division I. You emailed us to come basically try out more or less. Can I come play open run? Division I transfer, emailing like we talked about back in the day. And then he comes in, drove through the night. Who knows how this guy is? He's grinding. So next thing you know, this guy's raining threes from all over, and we sign him, and he becomes our leading scorer, and then goes on to Mercer, and then is the second leading three-point makes as a senior in the country. Missed it by one shot, one make?
1-3, man. A toe on the line against Campbell in the corner.
Toe on the line, man.
Was EJ about 108 pounds soaking wet when he showed up at Collin?
No, he was actually out. I thought the dude played football. I'm like, he looked like a strong safety or something. This guy's got a basketball player. Man, what is
more like nose tackle.
You got to remember, I was like 22 when I went to Collins.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Went to prep school a few times.
I think we should.
Look, I was my own agent long before I knew it. I was just I'm emailing Collin County. Just give me an opportunity.
Basically, EJ's entire career has been him sending an email saying, "Hey, can I play?"
Yeah.
And now you're doing it for other players.
Yeah, man. When I was coming out of centenary, so I had played a year and redshirted a year, but the red shirt was strategic because I knew I wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
Basically, my head coach told me that. Like, Coach, what can I do? I'll do anything. Like, how do I get in?
You're not going to play, buddy. Just
yeah. So, for me, it was like coming from like a 4-23 Division I team. A lot of people are like, man, just go Division II. But, here's an option. You could redshirt and then go JUCO.
Right.
So that's the route that I took and started sending emails out. And Mr. Burton replied to my email and said, hey, open gym, come through.
Yep.
And I had a good day that day.
You did have a good day. You did have a good day.
I got shirts and skins at 5 o'clock if you want to come through.
They brought me to the office after. And they're like, hey, we're ready to offer you a full scholarship. We just got to run it by Craig Stanley. Craig Stanley. He's like the LeBron of Collin County, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, we got to get the approval of I think they described it as like the Michael Jordan of Collin County. So,
oh man,
go through him, and then I had to go to Wiley High School and do a tour there to see where Stephen Pierce went. One of our other assistant coaches was a Hall of Famer. So
yes,
a couple steps involved there, but we got it done.
And Stephen Pierce, real quick shout out to Stephen Pierce. He did take his team to state at Wiley in Dallas, and actually Courtney Smith is his assistant, and he also played at Grayson College, and also worked at Collin County as an assistant too. So quick shout out to the Wiley Pirates doing big things.
Big things. But no, my junior college, I think, people have touched on it, I think earlier here too, is like the stigma. But I had a few different, I actually set up meetings at the Final Four that year. So before I made my final decision, I met with Coach Sagona and a few others at the Final Four, and then made my decision. And it was honestly a pretty easy decision after kind of meeting Coach and looking what he had done with his program and how well run it was. And we ran it like a Division I program.
Yep. But talk real quick about the Godfather. I'm going to pass the mic to BG after that. Talk real quick about the Godfather, Jim Sagona. He's built the program from scratch. He's who I got my first job, or I should say first full-time job working for, living in the apartments, monitoring the guys in the apartments, doing the whole nine. Godfather's been there for over 30 years. He started the program back in the day. He's in the John Beeline tree. Just a tremendous coach and person, always talking about doing things the right way. So talk a little bit about him and how that prepared you to go back to the next level. Because for you thought it was almost more Division I than even your Division I was.
It was. I didn't think that. It was a more Division I than my Division I was. I think just the way that unbelievable coach from a basketball standpoint, but also just from the way that he approached his players, right? So just for me, like I was coming out of a situation where I was basically told, like, you're not good. Like, you're not good enough. And that's on a bad team. So I'm like, well, am I not good enough? And, he really instilled confidence and kind of gave life back to my basketball career. Just being like, hey, you're going to be okay. You are a Division I player. It's going to work out. And I'm going to put you in a position to succeed. And not a huge ego guy, right? Where, even just the year you were there, like I remember I used to hate it. He used to leave the gym and let you do conditioning, right? Like he was very like, hey, trying to empower others, but it was like one of those things. It was like, Coach, like, hey, don't leave this guy alone. But yeah, it was just like it playing for him made me love basketball again, enjoy the game. And, one kind of moment where I was coming out of a game, I had missed some shots. I'm frustrated because the weight of the world is on me. I need a Division I scholarship, and I missed 3 threes in a row, and he's laughing at me. I'm like, what? I'm like kind of pissed that he's laughing. He's, would you relax? And it kind of made me realize, like, okay, I can relax. Like, I'm not going to get pulled out if I miss a shot. He's like, go sit down, relax, take a couple deep breaths, and I'll put you back in and run a play for you. Okay, chill out.
And you shoot it again, okay?
Shoot it again, you know. Be like, Brian, EJ, would you go talk to him for a second? You know. So I love that about him, and then I love the fact that like he'd also roll his sleeves up and get in an official's face and get ejected from a game, you know. You know, but on behalf of his guys, like you just knew that he had your best interest. He's gonna run through a wall for you, and so like that's the type of guy where like you want to do everything you can to help him, you know, win games.
Yep, no doubt, and one of those guys who, you know, JUCO also gets this stigma of not really running offense and just rolling the balls out. And I mean, Coach Sagona's offense may be more complicated than most Division I's I've worked at, as far as the playbook, the reads, the way he teaches the game. So I know that helped you translate to the next level. So I'll pass it to BG now. I'll step out for a second, and you can tell some funny stories about me while I'm gone if you want, but please don't.
What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
So junior college is such an interesting space because there's so many different things that you can take away from it, right? Like there's some guys that, you know, it's the toughness aspect. Some guys, it's the overcoming, you know, chaos sometimes aspect of it. You know, I imagine when you started your basketball career, junior college wasn't on your radar for where you would take that path. What's something that when you were there with a coach like that, especially that really stuck with you and has carried on with you now, you know, knowing who you are and how you go about your business and the way that you do things? Like what's something that maybe you kind of took away from that time there at Collin that you use today?
Yeah, I really think it's the level of like knowing when you know that somebody cares. You know, I think that's just a huge aspect, whether you're a coach, whether you're an agent, whether you're helping a guy with his recruiting, whatever it may be. If people know you care, you know, that's a unbelievable foundation and thing to start from. And that was the biggest thing, is like I had come from a situation where like people didn't care, like they didn't care about me. Like there was no confidence being instilled. There was no vision being cast of like, you could be this, or, hey, times are tough right now. You're not getting minutes, but keep working because this guy's going to graduate and you're going to have an opportunity. And that was by far the biggest thing, is that I felt like, okay, I can play basketball again. I can play freely, you know, and I know that he has my best interest here. Like we're trying to win games, but also like he's putting me in a position to where, you know, I'm going to get recruited and I'm going to be successful. And even though I was joking in the private comments over here with Coach Greene, but I'll never forget that McLennan game is like he had me come off the bench for the back end of the season. And initially I was kind of like pissed about it, but he like sat me down and was like, this is why I'm doing it. Like, I think the way you're got so much stress on you because, you know, you're trying to perform and I got these guys coming through the gym. You need to kind of let it go. I'm going to bring you off the bench. I'm going to let the game flow. I'm going to put you in. You're still going to play as many minutes. And just like little things like that. But it was easy for me to accept that because I knew at the end of the day that he was picking up the phone. He was calling coaches. He was bringing coaches in to see me. He was advocating for me even when whether I played well or didn't play well. So, you know, that's the thing I took away, is that, you know, just kind of caring about guys and then sticking with them and helping them, you know, doing everything you can to help them realize the end goal.
Well, it's interesting because your whole story, you know, we joked about it before with the, you know, sending the emails like the, hey, can I play thing? Like every aspect of from when you left Centenary to junior college to Mercer to being a pro to now being beyond there has always been like just kind of like figure it out and like put in the work and do the things that other people aren't doing. Right. And that's kind of a junior college story in and of itself, you know, where the first time I met you, we were down in Dallas and Dan says, hey, you know, you got to meet this guy, EJ. And you're telling me about sending emails to every team in the world. Yeah. And you would literally get a job from a team that you emailed a year ago, you know, that suddenly like check that email and they're like, hey, do you still want to come play? And it's just like that whole aspect of just figure it out, Like, you're not going to be handed anything in junior college by any means. So
no means. I mean, I think we ended up having like 8 guys go Division I off that team. So it was a situation too where you're coming in and it's like, every day's a battle in practice. And then we were in Region 5, in the North Texas League, and it's like, yeah, it was very much going to be one of those situations where you had to earn everything, and you had to, it's junior college, right? So it's again, you're an underdog, like just off rip. And I think for me too, it was I had something to prove. Like I had to prove that I was a Division I player all over again, and I had already done that once before, right? Where I felt like, okay, I got this scholarship, and then a lot of players don't realize is like getting the scholarship is part of the battle, but then you get there, then you got to play and be happy. And I had one Division I scholarship, coming out of prep school, and so it's like you can't really, you kind of have to take what you got.
Right.
Did you say 8 Division I guys? Who recruited all those guys, man?
Dang, man, we had a heck of a recruiter. Do I tell a Coach B story? Like he talked about living in the apartments.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So this is not indicative in any way of Collin County. I know this could have happened some places in junior college basketball. I want to say that first and foremost. But we came home from a road game. And there were some guys that were waiting to jump one of our teammates.
We did.
So there was a confrontation, we'll say, in the apartment. Would you call that common area? And not gonna lie, I was ready to go. And one of my teammates who easily had the most street smarts out of any of us was like, "Hey man, just chill out." And the next thing you know, guy pulls a gun out.
Oh my God.
Right? And he's like, yeah, like who won it now? Like who won it now? And I'm like, wow, I certainly don't. As this is happening, here comes Coach B around the corner, like, hey, what's going on over here? I'm like, oh, it's bad timing. Like it's either good timing, bad timing. I don't know what kind of timing it is. So this guy gets in the middle of it, like pushes us like this into the apartment, right?
Yep.
And closes the door. So we're all in the apartment and we're like, yo, guys, Coach B's out there with these guys. And they kept pointing the gun, right? But like, obviously he was obviously a great recruiter and also a great negotiator here too, because those guys left. But I always say like, hey, you can never say you wouldn't stand in front of a gun for me, right? Because you did.
Oh my God.
We didn't even know that story. How about that?
Burton's out there just Denzel Washingtoning this thing, like negotiating the heck out of it while EJ and the guys are in the apartment.
That was the crazy part about that story too is,
oh my God,
I was literally like, I got a call saying I needed to come over there, right? So as I pull up and I park, the guy next to me goes in his trunk, right, and gets something out of his trunk. And I'm literally like walking side by side next to this dude, not knowing this is the same guy that's about to have a gun in my face in about 5 minutes. So, yeah, wild story. Great times in JUCO. I didn't take a bullet for you, but I was close.
You're close. You put yourself in position to.
I was close. Thank God nothing happened. Talk a little bit about NBA life. You have an NBA guy you represent that played junior college. You've now become an agent. You used to be an agent for yourself in JUCO to get a scholarship, then Division I, then overseas. You played 5 years. Now you're an NBA agent, like legitimate NBA agent, have NBA players, and one of them came from junior college. Just talk anything about just that level. And we just had a guy we talked about in Jay Scrub who just got drafted straight from JUCO. So just talk a little bit about JUCO as it relates to the NBA. Is it possible for guys to make it to that level? Because I think that's something that people want to kind of know about.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, Miami Heat in the finals were like a perfect example of that with Jimmy Butler, and Jay Crowder was a JUCO guy too, right?
Yep.
But yeah, Josh Gray, I mean, similar type story, was a JUCO guy, did the same thing as me. He started at Texas Tech, went to Odessa, then finished at LSU. But talking about a guy that, was a senior, average like 5.2 points per game, something like that, and had to go a different route, had to go the open tryout route, G League, went to Korea for a season. He's had some 10 days, two-way contracts. And yeah, I mean, I guess the story there is that like Josh Gray is like the toughest, probably like he's the toughest dude I know, right? So like that's just a guy that when adversity strikes, like he's a guy that's going to keep pushing through. He's got an incredible belief in himself, but that belief is also based in the work that he puts in. And that's what I enjoy most about being an agent is working with guys like him where, their expectations are based on the work that they put in. And, having that chip on your shoulder, having that underdog story kind of been told over and over again that you're not good enough. And then you continue to prove people wrong. Like, those are the most fun stories and journeys to be a part of. Because it kind of aligns with the journey that I was on where people told me I wasn't good enough for certain things and, just kept seeking opportunities. And when the opportunity presented itself, you capitalize. And that's really what being an agent is trying to get as many opportunities as you can for the player. And then the player has to, capitalize on that. And, Josh is a perfect example. I mean, he just signed a contract for $1.62 million, 2 weeks ago. And that's life-changing money to say the least. And that's a guy that, came from JUCO and, had his ups and downs but always believed in himself ultimately and was willing to bet on himself. And I think at the max, you at least will hit your ceiling. They'll at least find your ceiling. And that's the kind of guys I want to represent is the guys that are going to get to their ceiling, as opposed to the guys who have a high ceiling and never come close to it because they don't have that chip or that underdog kind of mentality.
Right. And it's an interesting time now too, because just like recruiting at the college level where we can see everybody now, right? Like, doesn't matter where they are on the planet. They can get seen, they can get recruited. The NBA is very much like that as well, where if you're good enough, they'll find you. Now the difference between the guy that doesn't make the roster and the guy that's like 7th on the roster is fractional, right? I mean, at that level, everything is so good, but it's interesting to kind of watch the NBA now, some of the diversity of where these stories are coming from, whether it be international, whether it be the junior college space, whether it be smaller schools, stuff like that, because it's easier to see everybody. It's easier to find people. And so I think, you and I talk a lot about junior college guys, and it's interesting because there are some of those junior college guys that really, really legitimately have a chance. And it's not that they have to be at North Carolina or Duke anymore to really actually legitimately have a chance. But there are guys like Michael Mulder, right? Goes to Vincennes, goes to Kentucky. What do you play? Maybe 10, 12 minutes a night at Kentucky at most, maybe even less than that. But had that, just not give up, keep fighting, and he's got paid by the Warriors last year. He's in camp again this year. And so he was at the highest of the high, but then you've got other guys that, I mean, shoot, Jay Scrubb was, not only was he not at a blue blood, he was still at a junior college. So it's different. It's different. And I think we're going to start seeing, that kind of shift to, just because you're at some big school does not necessarily mean that, you're on that path, that you're going to get beat out by some of these guys that are not, at those blue bloods.
Yeah. And I think what happens is at some point in time, like, it doesn't matter. So like, it matters, like it matters a little bit. Like when you're getting that first job overseas or when you're going through the NBA process, there is a level of, where you went to school and that, but then at some point in time, like, you got to go earn it.
Yeah.
Whether that's in a workout, whether that's summer league, whether it's training camp, and you're either good enough or you're not. And at some point in time, it doesn't matter where you went to school. It's, are you good enough? And the NBA all of this is a business. Like college basketball is a business too, but it's like, hey, if you're not good enough to help us win games or contribute to winning or contribute to, this business, then we don't care if you went to Vincennes or if you went to, North Carolina.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, like on our podcast and stuff, some of the guys that we've had on there that have been, you know, it was like Francisco Elson, you know, coming on there and when he played junior college and then he goes to Cal, but then he goes over to Europe and, you know, spends 4 or 5 years over there. And it's finding that different path. And I think there's something to be said about some of those junior college guys, the things that they learn and the things that they deal with in junior college and how that helps them just kind of continue to grind it out until they get to where they want to be.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of guys playing junior college basketball that aren't supposed to be playing junior college basketball. It's, you know, it's for one of, you know, a multitude of reasons, whether it be,
right,
you know, you're trying to make a transfer move, you know, to use that as a bridge to get back to Division I level, and you know, you don't want to sit out or you can't sit out, you know, or you know, you might be a non-qualifier, and sometimes, like, I think some people think that means like a guy is dumb. Like, it also may mean that they got bad guidance from like whatever school, like high school they were in, and they didn't get the core qualifying classes and like things that, you know, are somewhat out of their control, right? Because they're no one told them that, right? They didn't have a coach or they didn't have anybody that was familiar enough to help them through that process. So, but yeah.
You know, I just, as we were talking here about centenary earlier, I realized when I used to play the NCAA video game, I always played as centenary because I wanted to play as the worst team and then try and win a championship with them. And I used to download the rosters from somebody because, you know, whoever was on there. I absolutely have played video game as EJ Kusnyer before.
Hey. I love it. I don't know how that went for you, but I love it. I love it. So you were talking about NBA guys. We're going to bring in a high level, our next guest, super high level assistant coach, was, I don't even know, probably won 5 championships. I took away one of Eric's, so I may take one of GH's too. 5 championships in Florida, has coached numerous pros, been to the Final Four as an assistant coach. It was super impactful there at Wichita State, helped win the SEC at LSU when before that they weren't really doing very well. And now he's just taking a job at East Tennessee State. So we're going to enter Greg Heiar. He can talk a little bit about NBA guys himself. GH, you on mute. What's up, man?
What's up, B? What's up, BG? How are you, EJ?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Good to be on here.
We're talking NBA guys. You know a few. So talk about some of the NBA guys you've coached that have played in JUCO. Not the Fred VanVleets at Wichita State, but let's talk about the JUCO dudes that have gone on.
My first one was Michael Taylor. That was my first year as a head coach. Blessed to have Michael Taylor come on. He went to Iowa State, and then he was drafted in the NBA. And then the second one was Clay Anthony Early that got drafted at Wichita State. And then now Marlon Taylor just signed with the Wizards this year. He was with us last year at LSU and got several that, you know, were playing over in the EuroLeague and overseas, and several of them that played in the G League. Stephon Hanna won a G League championship, and, you know, just blessed to coach some wonderful young men that could really play basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you one more before we let EJ go. So, EJ, we told the story about JUCO. You played in it. You told the story about the negotiator. We won't go back to that one. Is there anything you got left before you leave about JUCO, about the NBA life? I guess you can kind of spell some. So, for those that don't know, EJ Kushner's podcast on All Access Coaches Corner is coming out tomorrow. So we look forward to that dropping. And he'll give you all the gems on the truth behind the NBA life and what it takes to really get to that level. And everybody says this guy's a pro, that guy's a pro. But talk a little bit about that before you go, because some of the JUCO coaches, players, parents, I'm sure all want to kind of hear, like, how do you really make it to the league? What's really in the evaluation process, right? Like, what really goes into being good enough?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, there's a lot of guys that are good enough that don't make it, and there's guys that are perceived as not being good enough that do make it. And I really think that, you know, we've talked about this before, is like some of these guys have a fake finish line, feel like they've arrived. And the reality of it is your best bet if you want to be a pro at any level, NBA, overseas, is like you can never have that sense of like, I made it. Because as soon as you have that, I feel like you put yourself at a disadvantage and you're going to be on your way, either making less money or you're going to be out of that respective league and dropping a few rungs. And, the thing that I look at when I'm evaluating guys is, number one, do I like the player? Do I connect with their game? What do NBA people say? Because there's only 30 NBA teams. So if 30 of them don't think that he's an NBA player, then he's not an NBA player. But it's like, why isn't he an NBA player? Can that be fixed? And then do all these other things translate? And, now the NBA has become a place where, it's multi-positional. It's all about switching. Can you make shots? And then can you play a role? Can you be really, really, really good at one thing or two things? Because that's ultimately what's going to help you on the back end of that roster once you get past 3 or 4, of those top guys on the roster.
And then lastly, EJ, talk about the character part, how that plays in, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think the character, it's a sliding scale. Like, we all know this, right? Like, the more talented you are, the more of a threshold there is of probably like putting up with some stuff. But I also really think at the end of the day, like, that all catches up to you at some point in time, and either takes away marketing opportunities or it takes away something from your legacy, in my opinion. But if you've got that attitude or you've got that process of like, I'm not there yet, I'm going to keep getting better, I'm going to keep working, I'm going to keep fighting, then, I think you got a chance of reaching your, me and BG were talking about that as like your ceiling. Like, I want guys that are going to, at minimum, reach their ceiling. And that's all you can really ask for. It's the guys that miss the ceiling that is the disappointing ones. So
cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Kush. The hair's fantastic as always.
Look, Colin, I didn't know that East Tennessee State logo kind of burns. They beat us in the conference championship. That's a long time ago, but hey, Johnson City, not an easy place to go and win a basketball game.
No, not an easy place. EJ, great to see you, and it's been a great place so far. Good to see you and hear your experiences, and what an awesome path you've taken to get to where you're at, and you're just going to continue to. You got the right mindset. I can tell I've listened to your whole interview. Impressive.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, EJ, it's snowing out here, so I'll bring you some mittens. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be up there to see Isaiah and Cortland here whenever they let us into the arenas, right?
Right.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, DJ. Be safe out there.
Hey, man, same.
Hey, no more new babies either, man. We're I don't know. We're not in the competition.
Hey, this is my official retirement announcement. Okay, we're done.
Hey, you and me both.
Shoot or shoot, man.
Later, man.
Dad's girl.
Got a quick shout out, Grant Weatherford. You remember that name, Brandon?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Giving a quick shout out. Shout out to Burton and Goebel, two of the best in the business, he says.
Facts.
D. Weatherford says, 2 people that helped me get back where I want and needed after JUCO as a transfer. Very thankful, you guys. Grant, I got to coach at IUPUI and is now playing for Berg at Georgia Southern.
Yep.
A great decision, great fit, and excited for him, man. And
somebody needs to teach that dude how to run out routes from the tight end position or kill quarterbacks, which I know he can do because I'm pretty sure he was a really good high school football player. But
his brother's on the draft board as a defensive player for Miami, Ohio.
Grant's built like a tank.
Like Grant coming in is almost how EJ looked when he came to his tryout. That's pretty close. Pretty close. Shout out to D. Weatherford real quick. So DH, my man, I don't even know where to start.
Hey, I want to go back. I want to go back to something EJ said, or the EJ and I were talking about, and it relates to GH and to Marlon Taylor. So we were talking about like
Panola College, right?
Yep. So we were talking about like finding a way, working through, overcoming things like that, and probably one of the bigger misses I've ever had in the time I've been doing this is I didn't think Marlon was going to be good enough. I didn't think that he was going to be successful with the things that he did. Like some of the athleticism obviously was going to translate, but I wasn't sure if he had the ability with the IQ and to be able to start to shoot, because he his first year at LSU, and then he added to that, and now has continued to add to that and stuff. And I think it's important that guys understand that, like, hey, if somebody somebody doesn't think you can do something, like, don't listen to it, right? Like that's such an important piece of junior college coming away, where Marlon went into an incredibly high level situation and just continued to work and continue to work and continue to work. And, who's the idiot now as he signs his contract with the Wizards there. And so it's, and GH, being able to work with him every day and just the kind of work ethic and things like that get a kid that, didn't put up a double-double at LSU, but has that thing that he does something extraordinarily well. He has that elite thing that he does, and just continuing to work to get to where he wants to get.
Yeah, and I'll chime in real quick on that a little bit. I recruited him when I was at Fresno. We were recruiting him when I was at Fresno. And I just came to a point where I was like, G. McMillan, I don't think we're going to have a chance at this kid. I think he's too good, especially if you didn't sign him early. I felt like he was one of those guys. He had freakish athleticism. He had character, and he had a work ethic. He was starting to figure out how to make a shot or two. He wasn't really in a position, but it's like you'll figure it out with a guy like that. So credit to GH for identifying. And we'll talk, too, about player development. While you answer BG's question, we talked about this on the phone, but when you were at Chipola, I mean, you had a factory of high-level Division I players. I think you may have had 11 or 12 on a team. Almost it felt like every year, and felt like the number 1 and number 3 guy was always on that team, or the number 1 and number 4 is like, how do you have all these guys? So player development is something that you did an elite job of there. I think you probably did the same thing when you were at Wichita State, the same thing at LSU. So as you talk about Marlon Taylor, also talk about player development, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, player development is always something. I told you, B, when I lost my second game as a head coach, and Milton Johnson came in my office on a Sunday and told me to be myself, and told me to, if I was myself, I could possibly be the most successful coach that ever coached at Chipola, and stop being somebody else. Well, I played for Chris Jans, and Chris Jans is a mentor and has taught me everything about basketball, and I owe him so much about the game and what he's taught me. But I was trying to be someone I'm not, and I'm not Chris Jans. I'm Greg Heiar. And so I sat there for 4 hours after he left my office, and I wrote down things that I wanted my team and players to be good at. And that was kind of before the social media and before player development was, a real big deal. And I just kept going back to player development. And so from that point forward, we spent about half of our practice on player development, and the other half was on competitiveness and competitive drills. And so I kind of made a niche for myself as a player development guy. And, my whole thing was always, it's about the ball. The ball it's got us all where we're at. It's got us talking right now. It's got everybody, the basketball. And so to me, what is important about the ball? Well, you got to be confident with the ball. So I always wanted to build ball confidence, because I felt like ball confidence was something that, made players, just feel good about themselves. And that's what it's about. It's about having confidence, feeling good about yourself, and seeing yourself do things that maybe you didn't know you could do. But the more you work on fundamentals, the more you work on attention to detail, the better you're going to get. And you got to do it day after day after day after day. And it becomes a habit. And then they start, you do it on the offensive end, you do it on the defensive end. There's fundamentals on the defensive end. Every time the ball moves, there's a fundamental that needs to be, needs to take place. And so I just really sat down and came up with a player development kind of style. And, I just kind of took it everywhere I've been. And it's something that I have a lot of passion for. And, this is about the players. This ain't about our coaches. It's about the players. It's a player's game. And you need your players to play with confidence and be successful so you can win games, because ultimately at the end, it's about winning, and winning as a student, winning as an athlete, winning in the community, just winning. And that ball's got to go in the basket, and you got to be able to defend that ball. And, obviously Marlon Taylor was later in my career. And I always tell the guys, we joke, the guys I had at Chipola, they were kind of my guinea pigs when we first started off. You would come up with new drills, and then, you see things, you see them getting better and better at things. And then you start understanding now it's more about schemes and coverages and understanding the schemes and understanding the coverages and getting everybody on the same page through the development. And you just kind of grow as a coach, and it becomes simpler, it becomes easier. And, the guys, the players are the ones that benefit from it. And I just have a passion for it.
Guys coming from junior college, we always, I feel like there's a little bit of an unfair expectation in one sense that, coaches at the Division I level think that a guy, because he's coming from junior college, because he's coming from 1 or 2 years of college experience, can instantaneously just hit the ground running and be as good as the juniors, or sophomores on their team currently, right? And it's not fair, because it is definitely different. What are some things that you specifically do with junior college guys to kind of help shrink that transition time period? We see some guys like a Chris Duarte or something that has gone to Oregon, and he had that bump at the beginning, but he figured it out quickly and all of a sudden just took off, right? That's a little unusual, right? That transition period can be tough. There are guys, I was tweeting about Lagio Granson the other day, at Morgan State, and his transition period was all of last year. And now, though, I mean, he's one of the best players on the team, and he's popping almost 30 points in a game against Coach Pitino. Like, what do you specifically focus on that says, okay, we're going to try and turn this transition time from 12 months into 3 months, so that you can be as impactful on this team as possible, as quickly as possible?
Well, that's something I think, that I've been very blessed, because when you're a head coach at that level, you spend a lot of time with them, obviously, and you really get to know them. And when I got to Division I would say that being a truth teller, telling them, hey, you're not going to take off. I always compare it to like a plane. You got to make the plane, you got to get the plane to the runway, all right, and then the plane's got to take off. Well, that takes time, right? And it's going to take time for a junior college young man to come in and make an impact at a Division I school, no matter how talented they are. But the one thing that's really important is, from day one, they got to listen. Yeah. They have to be able to listen to and figure out the system, figure out the attention to details, what's important to the head coach, to the coaching staff. And then, they have to really try. Then you have to listen and try. Okay, those are the first two things. And then you got to get to know your teammates. You can't do this, a team sport, and you have to know your teammates' strengths and weaknesses. They've been playing together. They're older. They've been playing together, and you can't come in and just think, oh, okay, it's going to be my show. No, this is a team sport. We all need each other to be successful. And, showing a lot of film, a lot of breakdowns, and really getting them to just understand that it is a process. And you have to trust the process, and you have to believe in the process, and know everybody's here to help you with the process.
Right.
We're not here we want you to be the best version of yourself. We want you to overachieve, because your success is our success. So, we all got to be in it together, and we all got to take a great deal of pride and passion in the development and the communication. That's the last part. I think that's really, really important, is the communication aspect, not only with the player, but with their families, maybe their junior college coach, their high school coach, their AAU coach, but keeping everybody in the loop about the process, and letting them know, hey, here's where we're at, or here's where he was this week, but hey, we're going to learn from it. We're going to get better. This is about getting better. This isn't about, oh, you're not good enough. No, you are good enough, or you wouldn't be here. And every day, getting their mindset to believe that they're good enough and that they can impact the game and play the game the right way. Every possession, every time that ball moves, is something that's our job as coaches.
Right. And I think that's so important in the recruiting process for the kids side of it, is, ask these coaches, to speak on development, to speak on, like, in honesty, not like, no, we're going to make you a better player. Like, press them, right? How are you going to make me a better player? What are the expectations? Like, where do you see me now? Where do it's a lot of sifting through the smoke and mirrors, that happens a lot with recruiting. But if you can really find that guy that really understands junior college kids and the process and that communication that you talk about and things like that, where when they make a mistake, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, as long as they then, you know, don't just lose their mind with it and understand, like, it's okay that I make a mistake. How did what can I do to get better? And really focus in, you know, you talk about film, right? Like, so many guys they just want to go in and hoop. And it's like, hey, you gotta go, and you're gonna probably watch more film in the first 3 months of being at a Division I program than you had watched in your entire life. And there's a reason for that, because, you know, the speed at which things are done at that level, while also massively increasing the detail and execution requirements is huge. So it's fine. Just do it, and you know, find that guy that's going to work with you on it.
Well, and I always say, you know, look at how many guys that they've developed when you're going against, you know, you're recruiting against guys. Ask them and ask them for names and do your research.
Right.
I mean, facts are facts, and you know that's something that is important, because development takes time.
Right.
Development takes time. Are they willing to spend the time with you it's going to take to get you where you're trying to go? And are they going to get to know you and deal with some hiccups and you know, make you a more complete person and player through the ups and downs, but they're going to stick with you through the process, because, you know, that's what you got. The guys on your roster and what you get to coach, once the season starts, those are the players you got. So you better invest your time in those guys and make them better.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's not that somebody that hasn't had the, you know, tons of junior college experience and things like that, it's not that they can't coach or can't develop a junior college guy, but I think it's a fair question for a junior college player to ask when they say, hey, you know, show me receipts, right? Because I need to know that when I come there, that you understand the process, that you understand that I'm not coming in as a Division I junior on your team. I'm coming in as a junior college transfer. There's going to be a transition period. The payoff is that I'm older, I'm tough, I've, you know, worked through a lot of things, I've got an edge to me, I got you know, all the reasons that you recruited me in the first place. That's the payoff. But there is a process, and there are some coaches that just don't get it. You know, those guys get there and they make a mistake from the beginning and they get buried, and then that's it. You know, they're treating them like they're not treating them like they would a high school kid. The high school kid, they say, it's fine, it's just going to take a little bit to develop. And you almost, like, some guys don't give you that credit, to that development time credit. You know, as a junior college player, there's this unreasonable expectation that's placed there. So yeah, ask those questions. You know, hey, who, like you said, who have you developed? How have you developed them? You know, what guys have you worked with? What happens when things go sideways? You know, like, ask that question. Hey, you got a guy that, like, tell me a time that you've had a player that, you know, just hit the bricks for the first 2 months and you worked through it with them and they became successful. Ready, go. You know, like, push back, because this is an incredibly important decision for you as a junior college player, because when you're making that transition, you've presumably already spent some time of your eligibility. This is a much more important decision.
No doubt.
Let's talk maybe just a little bit about that transition from junior college to Division I, which is forever ago now. And, you know, what were some of those expectations maybe that you had that ended up being true, some that weren't true, for some of these guys that are maybe looking at next year, kind of making that transition from junior college coach to Division I coach, kind of some advice for guys like that?
Wow. Well, for me, it was maybe a little different than others, because I was a head coach for 5 years and I had opportunities to leave. And, you know, I chose to go to Southern Miss with Coach Eustace, I love him. He was an unbelievable boss, unbelievable to work for, but it was a challenge. I mean, kind of everything I've done in coaching has been about a challenge, you know. And Coach Jans hired me at Chipola. We turned Chipola around. It was a big challenge. Go to Southern Miss, it was a challenge, and that was something that was important to me, was to find a place where, one, I was looking to go because I was a younger coach and I wanted to go with someone that had experience that could teach me, the game. I wanted to learn. I still wanted to learn. I didn't think I knew it all. And I wanted to go with someone that had a lot of experience. And, Coach Eustachy was a National Coach of the Year at Iowa State, and, had to go to Southern Miss for his own personal reasons. But, that was a big thing for me, was I wanted to find someone that was experienced, and, there was a challenge there, and we could go win and turn it around, in which we did. We broke the school record in year 2. Year 3, he goes to the NCAA tournament. He gets the Colorado State job. I go on to Wichita State. From there, it's history. But that was I knew in year 5 I was going to Division I. It was just a matter of where, but. Like I said, it was about work for me. It was about finding someone that had experience that I could learn. I really wanted to learn, because there's so much to learn about Division I, and it's about longevity. It's about being in this business for a long time, and you got to learn and you got to learn from people that have been there with experience. You can't put a price tag on experience, and Larry had an unbelievable amount of experience, and he had some ups and he had some downs. So I knew I could learn a lot from all different angles from him.
For sure. Talk about GH. You've won at a super high level, man. Like, you talk about going to Southern Miss. BG asked the question about going from JUCO to Division I. Well, in JUCO, you won 5 championships. As we see at the bottom of the screen, you won over 160 games as a head coach, 5 times Coach of the Year. Then you go to Southern Miss. Southern Miss wasn't necessarily having the same level of success. Now they have tournament success. Now you help Coach Eustachy get another job at Colorado State, and then he has success there. Then you go to Wichita State and have this unprecedented success for a mid-major at that time, to go Final Fours, undefeated season to start the year. I think 31 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And then you go to LSU. They weren't necessarily winning before you got there. And then next thing you know, they're winning SEC championships. There's something about Greg Heiar being on your staff that allows you to all of a sudden have a greater opportunity to win at a super high level. So you can be humble, of course, but that's just the numbers. You can't argue that. So what would you say to that about the narrative with yourself about winning at a high level? And we'll talk about head coaching position next. But I'm just curious, as an assistant, you've done such a great job impacting Division I programs, and as a head coach, winning at a high level. So just talk about that winning and that impact.
I think I don't know. Maybe I got a rabbit's foot. I'm not, to be honest with you, I've been blessed. I've been blessed to work with really, really, really good staffs, 4 really, really good head coaches. And, that's obviously, and let's say what it is, and to coach really, really good players. I've been really blessed to coach really, really good players. I think it's, like I said before, it's really about the players. My role has always kind of been, I have the player relationships. I just try to be myself and try to help in any way possible. Obviously, at Chipola, it kind of, I worked really hard in recruiting to get really good players, but I had really good coaches. You're only as good as the people you have around you as a head coach. And, when you got that staff synergy, which I've been blessed to be a part of a lot, it really helps winning. I don't know, as a head coach, our style of play, the confidence our players played with, creating a home court advantage. I always, as a head coach, that's something I think that's really, really important. And then, going to Southern Miss, we started to create a home court advantage. At Wichita, obviously, is an unbelievable home court advantage. And LSU was, developing a home court advantage as well. That's something that's super important. But obviously, just focusing on doing your job every day. You got to have a one day at a time approach, and you got to keep these guys confident. You got to keep them, the train's moving, and you got to keep them on the tracks. And there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, and there's a lot of things that come your way every single day, and you got to deal with them, and you just got to be all in. You got to eat, sleep, breathe, basketball and your student athletes, and not only on the court but off the court as well, spending time with them and all that stuff. It's kind of one big equation that equals winning, I guess. I don't like to toot my own horn. I've never been really a self-promoter at all, but I have been blessed.
No doubt. Talk about this, man. So you've worked with, again, on that staff at Wichita State, let's say. You worked with Steve Forbes, who's now the head coach at Wake Forest, great coach. You've worked with Chris Jans on that staff, who's now the head coach of New Mexico State, doing really well. You also worked with KT Turner. You had all JUCO guys in that Final Four staff. KT Turner, who's the associate head coach at University of Texas. GH just came from LSU. You've been obviously you've won a lot, but there's a part of you that I'm sure knows how good of a coach you are, how good you were in junior college, just like those guys were. Forbes was at Northwest Florida, did a great job, won a lot of games. Jan's at Chipola, you were at Chipola. So GH as a head coach, sometimes you get put in this box as a recruiter, and you're elite at that. But ultimately, the job is to get the best players you can and win with them. And you've won everywhere you've been. You've won as a head coach in junior college. You've recruited the elite of the elite. Just talk a little bit about every coach wants to be a head coach at some point. So your time is coming. But just talk about maybe the perception of maybe, just the route for yourself to become a head coach when you know you're able to do it. Sometimes people just put you in a label as just as a recruiter. And in a direct way, they put a lot of minorities in a position where they think like, this guy's a recruiter. I don't know if he can be a head coach. So you've become such an elite recruiter. I wonder, is that label something that people forget? Like, well, this guy won over 160 games. This guy won 5 championships. Like, he knows how to lead a program. So just talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, before we kind of let you have some closing thoughts before we run.
Well, I mean, obviously my time is coming to be a head coach. And when I get my opportunity, I'm going to make the most of my opportunity. There's going to be an athletic director and a president in an institution that's going to give me a chance at some point in time. But my job is to be the best I can be every day. And, right now that's to help ETSU continue to do. I mean, coming to ETSU is a challenge. Coming here where, Coach Shea taking over for Coach Forbes. They won 30 games last year. We got 11 new guys. This is a challenge as well. And I've never backed down from a challenge. Everywhere I've gone, there's been some type of challenge. And when you're looking for a new head coach, you got to look for someone that is willing to take on a challenge and that has made the most of, a track record of handling challenges and making the most of a challenge. And I feel like I've done that, creating a home court advantage. It's like my parents run a restaurant and it's packed Monday through Saturday, right? Well, that's the same thing. When I went to Chipola, we had a home court advantage, 74-3 over 176 games. And I created a home court advantage by getting out in the community, being good with people. Well, I grew up around people. So people skills is just something that you have to have when you're trying to turn a program around and you're trying to take on a challenge, because most of the time you got to inject energy into a program, and the head coach has got to have energy to inject energy, and energy is something that I have, and I know I'm going to make the most of my opportunity when it comes. Like I said, I've never been a self-promoter at all. I've always done my job every day, and whoever I've had to work for, whatever they've asked me to do, I've done it, and I've done it to the best of my ability. And that's just who I am, and that's what I'm about. But I know my time's coming, and when my time comes, I'm going to make the most of it. And, I'm going to be so full of energy and excited to, make the most of it. And recruiting is, to me, it's a culture. Like, your players recruit players.
Yep.
When I was at Chipola, how did I get it going? My players recruited the players. Yeah, I went out and worked. I went on 15-day road trips and slept in hotels and rest areas and all that stuff. But my players were the ones that told the players, hey, you need to come here. He's going to help you. Like, that's what's happening. That's what happened with Forbes at ETSU. That's what happened with Jans. That's what happened at Wichita. That's what's happened at Southern Miss as we kept doing it. And I can only speak for my experiences, but players recruit players, and when players feel like they're getting better every day, and getting better is becoming more of a competitor.
Yep.
That's what getting better is all about, is being more of a competitor and feeling good with the ball in your hands. And that's something that I've done my whole life. And so it doesn't matter where it's at. When I get that opportunity, we're gonna pack the stands. We're gonna bring in a team that's gonna play the right way. We're gonna defend, rebound, and run. We're gonna dive on the floor for loose balls, take charges, and we're gonna high five and fist bump, and I mean it's gonna be a lot of fun. But I can't get ahead of the horse. Every day I gotta do my job, and I'm gonna continue to do my job to be the best version of myself, to help Coach Shea and our staff here every single day, to help these young men get better every single day, because that's what it's about.
Yep, absolutely. Before we let you go, man, you got to talk about JUCO real quick. You being a head coach, why did you love it? Do you still miss those days? You talked a little bit about recruiting and how you were able to get those high-level dudes and get the players to recruit players, but just talk a little bit, revisit your JUCO days at Chipola real quick before we let you go.
Man, some of the best times of my life, just every single player that came through, getting to know them and spending time with them and being a part of their process, to see where they were when they came and who they were and where they went and what they did when they left, to graduate, 41 guys and get 41 guys on to Division I, just to be a part of their process and get to know them and get to know their family and just see the grind that they did every single day, and just the people in the community, to get to know the people in the community, to build a home court advantage, to build, to the appreciation club down there, and to get the fans on board. And, all the people that we met were unbelievable. And that's something that what's life's all about, because all we have is relationships and the people that we meet, and making the most of every day when you meet people. And I was just blessed to really be a part of some unbelievable young men's life every single day. And they brought it every single day. Yeah, we had our ups and downs like everybody does, but every day is a new day, and every day they competed. And every game the fans showed up to support these guys. So, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
Yeah, for sure. And then we'll let you go. You got to tell us one funny story before you go. That's appropriate for the air, of course. That's the hardest part.
How one funny story. Oh boy.
Or even just a funny perspective. It don't have to be a story.
Well,
it can be from anything from JUCO. It can be from your Division I days. Just
that smirk means he was rolling them through his head and going, nope,
can't do that.
No. But I would say a funny story, a proud story, who everybody that pretty much knows Chipola right now. Proud story I have is of you guys know of Jumpin' John. Jumpin' John is still around I don't know if he still is this year, but he's been around ever since I've been there. He came to me one day, said he wanted to be a part of the team. He was a mechanic in the community. He just wanted to be a part of the team. I had no idea he could jump like Jumpin' John could jump. His name it was John Smith at the time, and when he got here, and he was around the team every single day, and he could put it between his legs. He could windmill. He went out to Mullins and put on a dunk contest that outdid all the JUCO players, and he was a lot older than everybody else. But Jumpin' John, I would give him a note card every day, and on it, maybe today it maybe say like, play hard, play smart, play together. And Jumpin' John would be all practice long. Let's go. Got to play hard, got to play smart, got to play together. And like he brought energy every single day. Like he changed the vibe of our program. And that was the good Lord just bringing Jumpin' John into my life and into Chipola's life. And he did a lot for the young men that were down there. And he's went through some things with his family. But I'm super proud of that. Jumpin' John arrived at my doorstep, and I'm the type of person, I try to help everybody out. I could have 12 walk-ons if 12 guys wanted to come walk on. Like I'm just that's just who I am. But Jumpin' John was great. And I mean, every day that note card had something different. And whatever was on that note card, Jumpin' John was for 2 hours. You were hearing it. It may be, got to move the ball. Let's go. Got to move the ball. Got to check out, depending on who we were playing and what was on that note card. But he brought it every day.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Coach, for joining us, man. Loved having you, and good luck the rest of the season. I know you guys are going to get it going there, and look forward to continuing to follow your success, man. We're here in support.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, BG.
Good, man.
You're gonna all be reaching out to y'all about some players.
Oh yeah, I'm ready
all the time. I appreciate y'all having me.
Okay, man. Have a good holiday.
You too.
Where'd BG go? There he is.
I'm right here.
There he is.
I don't know where.
So awesome show of guests, man. We'll close the last 5 minutes and just talk about some of the guys that BG has hashtag JUCO products. We'll talk about those guys that are playing well at the next level, man.
Yeah, it's been.
I'll give a quick shout out to somebody who doesn't have spectacular numbers, but the kid Trey Pulliam at San Diego State, for him to go from really having no offers out of Dallas, coming out of high school or out of that Metroplex area, Texas kid, Brian. Matter of fact, he may have been Brian College Station kid, but didn't have any offers coming out. Went to Navarro, had 2 good years at Navarro, and then signs at San Diego State. Doesn't start last year, but it's on a magical team. And then this year, now he's starting, playing an instrumental role in them. They just had a huge win last night against Arizona State. They've beaten UCLA. They're one of the top 25 teams in the country. So for a young man to make a decision to join a program and win, and now is a major contributor last year, and now is a starter this year, doesn't have gaudy numbers, may not play NBA per se, probably will play overseas somewhere, but shout out to him for that route and going that route, because it's not just about putting up the numbers. Ultimately, the biggest number is winning, and he's winning.
Yeah, I mean, huge impact on that team. I mean, they love him over there. And, the things that when they were recruiting him, that they wanted him to do, he does. And the things that they wanted him to do were never going to have anything to do with, putting up gaudy numbers. Right. Yep. And so, for him to be able to have that kind of impact on a team that's as good as they are, I think I saw Goodman today, and his top 25 had him up around 13. Yeah. And there's legitimate conversation now where we're on undefeated watch again with San Diego State, because as they get into Mountain West play and things like that, I mean, they're going to be the team to beat in that league. So, it's just every single day there's junior college players just, succeeding at a high level. I posted something last night, Portland beating Oregon State. And so Maurice Kalu had Indian Hills had a great game for Oregon State, and he just keeps getting better and better. But Portland won that game, and 79, I think they had 87 points. 79 of their 87 points were scored by JUCO guys in a win over a Pac-12 team. And this is probably, I guess, the best group of guys that Porter's had since he's been there. And they're almost all JUCO guys, right? Isaiah Dasher, and he shows up, and Ahmed Ali from Eastern Florida. He went off last night, and that kid has worked through a lot. Ahmed has really, really worked through a lot, from junior college and some other things afterwards. And, it's good to see him have some success there. So it's every day I go through the rosters, and I mean, I can't keep up with all of them, right? I'll get somebody to text me and they're like, "Hey, what about my guy?" And I'm like, "I forgot." Contrary to popular belief, I do not know every name in former junior college players as I'm rolling through the roster, and, Johnson, on there, and I'm scrolling through, I don't remember all of them. I'm sorry, but please keep sending the messages. but it's just great to see, especially kids that you get to know, that you get to talk to and stuff. Like, I just love watching Chris Duarte play.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to know him more since he was in junior college than the little bit that I talked to him when he was in junior college. And it's just, I mean, he's such a great story. We did a whole podcast episode with him, and about where he came from and the things that he had to overcome. There's a lot of things that he had to overcome that we didn't talk about in the podcast. And it's just so awesome to see guys like that succeed at any level. I'm checking NAI box scores, I'm checking D2 box scores. But it's a lot of fun because it's kind of this thing, I think, this club, right, that they are always going to be a part of.
Yep.
And it's this thing that you can really point to when you say, hashtag JUCO product, like that means something, and they're proud of it. And it's cool to see them be proud of it. And when they, cause when we hear the announcers and they a junior college player, and they don't know where the hell this school is. They don't ever even say the school, which is some BS.
Right.
For any announcers that might happen to hear this, like, say the school. Good
Right.
grief. That being said, I will say that I messed up when we were doing our top 10 thing, and I get a text from Coach Eck, and he says, "Hey, good job on the top 10. Happy to see Coach Baker in there. Maybe you could say which school he was from." I was like, "Oh crap." Nothing like getting called out by a Hall of Fame coach on not saying Hutch when we were talking about Josh Baker. But so special shout out to Josh Baker and Coach Eck and Hutch, and my bad.
We'll have to have Deck on at some point.
I was like, Coach Eck, everybody knows who Hutch is. Stop it.
Yeah.
Your school is literally the name of the national tournament.
Anybody at the levels that are not Division I that stood out as far as having we talk about Division I transfer from JUCO. I know there's a lot of D2 and NAI guys, and I'm putting you on the spot. We'll close after that, but just curious.
It's
because it's not just about Division I, right? It's about
right.
JUCO having a success story at the next level. And again, that looks different for everybody.
Yeah, NAI has been going for a little bit. It's been kind of hit or miss as far as games and even getting some of the information and all that kind of stuff. D2 is, I think, just now getting going. But I do want to kind of just share a quick story about two kids that are going to be playing their first D2 games. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. Coming up. So we went and ran a camp down in Trinidad, Tobago with Mario from Caribbean Hoops, who, if you don't follow on Twitter at Caribbean Hoops, Mario is fantastic. He's a wonderful person, does so much to help kids. And so he asked us to come down and help him with this camp. And so we went down there in June of whenever that was, and June of 19, I guess. And so we ran this camp, and I met Tyreek Singh, who had actually played in the camp when Daniel Poneman had gone down there before he became an agent. And so Tyreek had ended up at Daytona, didn't play much, was just trying to figure out how to play, just didn't have a lot of experience and things like that. So it didn't really work out for him. So he had come home for an entire year, was working at his family's bar or restaurant or something like that, and figured basketball was over for him. And then JP Frederick, who was from St. Lucia, so he had traveled from a different island to Trinidad for this camp. And so these kids are playing in this camp, and we were fortunately able to get them both scholarships to schools. Tyreek went and played for our friend Kyle Drennan at McCook, which Kyle is now at UIC. And then JP went and played or tried to play for Tom Parks at State College of Florida. And there was some confusion, I guess, if you will, on the administrative side as far as how transcripts in the Caribbean work, because it's really weird. They have these CXC exams and all these different things. So anyways, they basically didn't want to risk eligibility wise with him. So JP ended up not even playing for State College of Florida, but Tom Parks did such a good job of still involving him and preparing him and all that. And so long story short, Tyreek and JP are playing at rival Division II schools, Saginaw State and Northwoods up in Michigan, about 20 minutes from each other. And I just think it's so cool that, junior college provided this experience where you had somebody that had been to junior college and it didn't work out and thought their basketball career was over. Somebody that probably never thought he was getting off of St. Lucia to let alone through basketball to play and found their way from the same camp to now playing at rival schools that are immediately right next to each other. And if in some way, shape or form, we're able to have a season, have some sort of fans there or whatever, I will absolutely be headed to wherever that is in Michigan for that rivalry game to see those two go toe to toe with each other.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we love those JUCO stories. We can tell them all day, man. So we are closing the show. We will have one next week. Then the following week is Christmas. We will not have one. And the following week after that is the first. It's debatable. We probably won't have one then either. Probably let you guys have a break and have a life a little bit. But no, so we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks so much to our guests. Of course, follow the Live Period podcast. All Access Coaches Corner podcast, and keep staying safe. And yeah, tell people you love them because it's crazy times out there, man. BG, any last words?
Be good, everybody.